Hey guys, what's up? It's Keith Baker from Dusty Attic Studio, and today we are going to mix a song that was recorded live at the Telefunken Labs in Windsor, Connecticut. I'm going to go through this as quickly as possible and as simplistically as I can. Again, this is kind of a beginner intermediate tutorial. I'm going to be using, for the most part, stock Studio One plugins. I am going to be using a handful of third parties, a lot of them which are free, some of them aren't. But anyway, I'm going to do this as quickly as possible. It's 8.5 minutes long, so I'll do what I can to keep this without going to my typical marathon videos. I mean, if it gets too long, I might even break it up into two sections or two-part series. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my, well, I tell you what, let's do this. If anybody's interested in what my setup is, you can see here what I got on my desk. Let me put a close-up there. And I'm using the Studio Live Series 3. This is a 24, and I'm going to be using it in DAW mode. As you can see, I've got the motorized faders. Over here is my monitor station 2, and way up here is my 43-inch display. I got a really big one because I am practically blind. Just kidding, but the old eyes, what can I say? Anyway, I'm using a very basic setup here. So anyway, well, let's get started. I'm going to go to my screen capture here, and you can take a look at what I got here. I already have everything imported. I do have a video that shows how to import the stems. I'll put a link down below so you can see how that's done if you haven't done it before. Let's see, what else? I've already colorized everything the way I want in the order that I'd like to mix my tracks in, as you can see. So I did all this ahead of time just to kind of save a little time. Since it was a live song, it really wasn't on a tempo, so the closest I could get with it, tapping it out, was 97 beats per minute. So I'm also going to put a link down below where you can get the stems for these, and you can either mix along, or after you watch the video, you can load them into your session, and then you can go ahead and mix it. Anyway, let's get started. First thing I'm going to do this is my workflow. You guys can do it any way you want, but this is just how I find that works best for me. So first thing I'm going to do is come over here and mute all the tracks, except for the first one that I'm going to start with which is the kick drum. So let's go take a look here. I am going to start here in the middle of the song where you can see all the transients. And let's take a look to see what this sounds like. Now this happens to have two kick drum tracks, which is mic'd inside and outside the kick. So let me listen to the other one as well. Really can't hear a whole much difference between the two. So what I'm going to do, let me set my loop up here because that's a good spot to work on that kick drum. He's hitting it nice and solid. First thing I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to keep this as simplistic, and I'm going to be using some presets here. Not necessarily going to leave them stock presets. I like to use them because it brings in the tools that I need and you know, just a couple of clicks instead of having to go over and drag and drop everything. So the first thing I'm going to do is a jazz song, but I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go to click on the little arrow, and then I'm going to hit drums, and I'm going to use the rock kick on here. I'll explain why in a second, because I'm going to use a little bit different setting on that second kick drum to get the desired sound. Anyway, so there we go. I brought in my compressor and my EQ. Let's see what it sounds like. On and off. Really makes a big difference, doesn't it? Okay, so let me go in here and take a look at this compressor. I do like to use a slow attack and a long release, so I'm going to leave that like that. It's at a 4-to-1 ratio. Again, I'm going to leave that simply because the guy's foot is a little inconsistent, so I'm going to kind of compress it down hard and then to control some of the levels on his velocity. I am going to back off of this threshold just a little bit. And that's probably right about where I want it to be. Let me go on over to my EQ. It's a pretty snappy kick. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to leave around the 50K. And you can already see over here that everything below like 40 hertz is already starting to roll off. So, you know, I can put my high pass on there, or I can leave it off. Doesn't make a difference, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it off. I am going to bring this down here, this 5K, and get rid of a little bit of that snap. It's also got a real long 6 dB shelf, and it's at it starts at around 2.25K. But let's play around with this so I can get that punch right around the 5K. So that sounds pretty good right there. Now, I know this kick sounds a little thin now, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to fatten it up using the other kick drum track. Let me close this. Something else you might notice over here, I'm getting real close to clipping, and a couple times it actually did. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this level down to where I'm peaking out around -12. Now that's typically where you're supposed to be when you're recording. I mix at super low levels to make sure I give myself plenty of headrooms on the main bus or your master bus. So I'm going to bring this level down. And get it right in there around the -12 dB range. It's going to fluctuate a little bit, but we're good there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is go on over to this next kick, which is, I believe, the kick out. Kick out, yep. So let's go ahead and solo that. And this is why I mute everything first, because I've got this track, you know, unmuted and it's playing along. Now I can just hit solo and it'll automatically turn that one off, and then I got this one isolated. So what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to go back to my presets. I'm going to go to drums, and then I'm going to go to deep kick. It's got an expander on there. Obviously going to bring that down. I'm going to take that expander off. Let's take a look and see what this compressor is. This is really good, actually. I want to hit it a little faster, and I want it to release a little quicker. Again, it's at 4-to-1, and I'm going to bring this threshold just down a little bit till it's getting a couple of dB of reduction there. Now let's take a look at the EQ. You can see it's got a shelf right here at about 213 hertz, and it's about 6 dB. It's also got a peak here at 2K. I may actually take that off. Let's see. Because basically all I'm trying to get out of this track are the lows. Let's take a look at the meters here. And that looks good. Really don't need that little cutoff there, so let's just leave it quite simple. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to bring this down here, and I'm going to go in and unmute the original kick. Okay, now I got them both. So what I'm going to do is start bringing this one in, this kick out that I made all those lows with, and we're going to try and fatten this kick up. See, now we got a good punch, and we got some nice lows. And let me just double check here. I may actually go ahead and roll, do a hard cut here, just to get rid of these unwanted frequencies down here that can muddy up the mix. And I think that sounds pretty good. Now let's see. Awesome. Okay, I'm pretty cool with that. And you know, these are getting close. I'm getting them close, but you know, of course, once I got the rest of the drums done, they'll probably be, I probably need to go in there and do a little more tweaking. All right, so let's bring in, this is the snare top. It's not too bad, sounds pretty typical for a live kit. Again, I'm gonna go ahead and bring this down now because I know that's gonna be too loud. So let me go into my presets again, and I'm gonna go to a rock snare. Go in here to the compression, 2-to-1. I know this guy gets a little carried away at times, and he also plays some really light stuff later in the song, so I'm going to compress that a little hard, around 3-to-1. I'm going to bring this attack down just a little bit, maybe around 10 milliseconds, because I want to take away some of that stick attack because it's really snappy at the moment. I'll pull this all the way down so you can hear what happens when you take it down to like no milliseconds. Listen careful to the attack of the snare, the stick on the snare. So, yep, when you cut it that hard, you take away that initial impact. So I want a little bit of it in there, so let's take it up about 10 milliseconds. 180, probably more like 150 on the release. I'm hitting it nice and hard. Okay, so let's go on over to the EQ, which I'm going to basically go over here and I'm going to go to default. I'm going to basically roll everything off at 100. Now, if you take a good close look around this 200 hertz, you're going to find that that's pretty typical in snare drums. That's where the tone of the shell comes out. So I'm going to add a little more. I'm going to give it what it wants. All right, and then I'm going to probably come over, let me start at the 5K to get that smack back. And you can hear that bleed from the ride cymbal there. That's the one thing you got to deal with when you're working with live mix, live tracking, as you get bleed. I'm not going to gate these things because I try to work with the bleed. Sometimes it actually help and give you some nice additional sounds. Anyway, for now, I'm going to go ahead and leave that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wetten up this snare just a little bit, and which is going to change the EQing. I'm going to use the stock reverb, which is the mix verb, and I'm going to grab that, bring it over, and put it on the send. First thing I'm going to do is take away some of the dampness. I'm going to give it a little more size. Unlock this, and I'm going to pull some of it out of the mix here. I'm going to go ahead and put a pre-delay. That's about 30 milliseconds should do. So now I'm going to go back in the EQ and see if there's anything I can do to bring a little more of that out. Let's try pushing a little 2K. There you go. Sounds pretty good. Let me take a listen with the kick. I'm going to take this reverb and move it off to the side here, get it out of the way. And I think I'm going to come over here and reduce the levels of this kick a little bit more. Okay, I like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and solo this snare back. And this one here is the bottom snare. So let's take a listen to that. Yep, so you can hear pretty much mostly just the snares. There is a preset for this as well that I will bring in, snare bottom. First thing I'm going to do is take that expander off. See what I got going on the compressor. Not a whole lot, anything is hitting it. So let me, this is really hitting it hard, 10-to-1. Fairly quick attack and a fairly mid-range there release. I'm going to leave that because I'm only going to blend that in a hair. And for shits and giggles, I'm going to leave that original EQ for now. Sorry about that. But let's bring in the top snare. And blend it in. There it is. Just a little bit. You don't want to get too carried away with the bottom one. Simply because, it's kind of noisy, but it helps with the drags and ghost strokes. So I'm going to go ahead and select these two. I like the balance between them. I'm going to select them. I'm going to right click and I'm going to make a little group out of it. I'm group selected tracks. So no matter what I do, they will always move together. Now let's bring that kick in. Yeah, you know what? Looks like I'm going to have to go in here and work that EQ a little bit. I have to bring down some of that 5K because that ride cymbal is just way too much. All right, so what do we got here? Next is our hi-hat. All right, so let's find a place where that hi-hat's playing. Looks like it's playing here. Phew, man, that ride is coming through everywhere, isn't it? All right, there's a good spot. Put my loop there. All right, so let's go to our presets again, and I'm going to look for hi-hat, and I'm going to move that expander again, and compressor is not hitting it. It's 3-to-1. It's a slow attack, which I like. As you can see, it's, for the most part, is hitting that bleed from the snare. All right, I'm going to go to the EQ because I do not like this EQ. So let me go set this default. Let me up here so I can turn it up so I can hear it. Not too bad. I am going to roll off everything at 100. I'm going to give it a little, around 350 hertz. Give it a little warmth. I am going to do this low pass here. Make sure I get out of that. And then let's see if I can't bring down the high mids. And then a little boost around the 5K. So that sounds pretty good. Let's bleed it in with the rest. This it's got some stereo tracks over here of room mics and overheads, and since they those are panned already at audience perspective, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on my individual tracks. So let me listen to that again. So that means hi-hat is going to go to the right. Okay, that works. And what do we got here? I think this might be, that's my rack tom, and that is my floor tom. So let's work on those. Let me find a place where they hit. And it looks like we got some hits here. I'm going to zoom out so I can take a closer look. You can use this tool here, or you can literally grab up here on your timeline, drag down, and let me roll that part there. Let me solo these two toms. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and loop that. See here, and this is going to be really obnoxious, and I apologize up front, but this is what you get when you want to be an audio engineer. Okay, so let's work on this high tom or rack tom. Again, I'm going to go to presets, And I'm going to go to rack tom. I mean, that doesn't sound very bad at all, actually. Got a little more of a ring going on than I liked. So let's use this expander. See if we can't take a little bit of it out. That's better. All right, let's take a look at the compressor. To keep this simple for you beginners or intermediate people, I'm going to go ahead and leave this. It's at a 3-to-1 ratio, which is fine with me. It's got almost a 30 millisecond attack. I'm good with that. Actually, this release, I'm probably going to take it closer to put it right up around 200. Okay, that sounds pretty much like a rack tom to me. Now let's go over to the EQ and see what we can't do with that. Nope, I'm going to leave that shelf there. So I got a nice attack of the stick. I'm good with the high, that pull down of the high mids. And like the snare, you see that you can see where this tom, this is the meat of the tone of the tom. So you can hear how thin it is. So again, I'm going to give it right what it wants. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click that and let everything roll off below 50. That sounds pretty good. All right, so now let's, since this is only it's only got one rack and one floor tom, I'm going to move the panning over to the right just a little, not a whole lot. Let's take it up to 25 here. I'm going to bring the volume down a little bit. Okay, let's move over to that floor tom. Again, preset. And there's a floor tom. Okay, let's start with EQ on this one. Just go ahead and do all that, everything, click everything off on 50 hertz. Looks like this tom is calling for more of around the 100 hertz. And let me see what this shelf sounds like. Nope, I like that attack. All right, let's take a look at the compressor. Actually take a little bit off. That's good, much better. And I'm also going to move this up to about 200. All right, now that expander, it really seems to be taking a lot of the tone away. It's not ringing out enough. So I'm going to play with that a little bit. Not too bad now. Let's put it with the rest of the kit. Well, we're going to go to, don't forget we're doing audience perspective, so I'm going to take this floor tom and go real far left with it. Let's go about, let's try 70%. Let's listen to the two toms together. And let's try it with the whole kit. Okay, that's not too bad. Now here's something that I'm going to do. Since we have that that reverb on the snare, I'm going to also add it to, let's see, I want to put it on the hi-hat, so I'm just going to drag this over onto the hi-hat. Doing it this way, it continues to use the single FX mix reverb here, so I'm not doing any additional instances of reverb. I want it to be the same, and plus this saves on CPU. So I'm going to also drag it now over to my rack tom and to my floor tom. Let me close these back up, make some room here, and let's see what those toms sound like now. Gives them a whole lot more air. All right, let me take this back to a different spot here. Turn off that. No. And there's that ride again. So let's see what we can do to pull some of that out. Can I pull the EQ? That's right there where I... You know what? I am going to leave it for now until I get the overheads in. It may not... It's pretty loud in there, and the ride in this song is pretty loud anyway. So let's make sure. It may be okay. So let's go ahead and move on. As you can hear, it's in here. I tell you, I love the way these sound by themselves. I'm gonna just mix that in and see if I need to maybe drop an EQ or compression on there, but really I'm loving the way this sounds. I might just I might put an EQ on there to try and pull some of that ride out, but let's see. Yeah, it's loud. I'm going to put an EQ on there, at least take a look to see what's going on. All right, let's see. Yeah, let me take some of this mud out. Come here. See if I can't pull some of that out. Little shelf there. Okay. Let's see how that works out. You know what? I am going to loop this part here that we were just at. All right, now here is the room mic. There was actually two of them, if I'm not mistaken, in the original stems. Nope, you know what? I'm wrong. It was the overheads. They had close-up overheads and they had real far away overheads. I took the far away overheads. I deleted that track because they were so far out that you know, it was causing, you know, way too much phase issues. All right, so this room mic, a stereo pair. Let's take a listen to that. I think my biggest concern on this is how the kick drum is real low. You can hear those low frequencies. I'm gonna put an EQ and I'm gonna pull not quite. A little bit in there. All right, let's add that. Let's add some gain. I just want to hear some of the room in there, not much. I'm going to come over here to these toms because that's really going to determine when you hear those toms hit. Probably too much. Well, that sounds pretty good. All right, so I'm going to call that close enough for right now. Because I know I'm going to have to come back here and do some other tweaks, but I'm still going to put a bus on these drums and add one of my third-party plugins. Let me go over here, select the first one, hit Shift, and hit the last one, which selects them all. I'm going to right-click. I'm going to go Add Bus for Selected, and at the same time, I'm going to click them again. I'm going to make sure the bus is not clicked. I'm going to select these again, so they're all together. And I'm going to add a VCA for selected channels. I'm going to put that at the end of my chain. So I've got all my drums, drum bus, and then my VCA. So let's let me loop this part again here. And let's see. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my third-party plugin. I use this. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the Nomad Factory plugins, and I got to find my Magma. Colorful name, and I'm going to drag that over, and it's just a virtual rack. You can add, it's got, I don't know, 50 or 60 plugins built into this one plugin. But what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to go up to one of the presets on this as well, and I'm going to use a drum enhancer. All right, so what this does is brought in this claritone, which is really an exciter. It brings in a tube emulator, compressor. It's got a gate, a limiter, and then it's got this EQ down here. Really does, it's just for analyzing your mix, and it's really hard to see, so really don't need it there, but I'm just going to leave it because it's what comes in with the preset. I'm going to bypass it for now because I want you to hear what happens when I turn this thing on just as a preset. I'm going to tweak it, but I just want you to hear it. All right, let me turn it on. Listen to the difference in that punch. That's probably, I'm going to go in here and change this. Listen to how much that kick came out. All right, I am going to go in here. I'm going to go in here and lower that kick just a hair now because it really brought them out. You see I selected them both so I can move them down together. Actually, I'm going to group those. Group selected. I'm also going to drop an EQ. See, that's still good there. And it looks like I got to bring those toms down to here. Better. Yeah, that ride is really bugging the you-know-what out of me. But let's see how it's going to work out in the rest of the mix. All right, so let me get my total drum level set. So again, with this Magma, I brought a little bit of the sub bass out of it because it was a little overpowering. I left the clarity as it is. That kind of is, that's almost like the 5K range of an EQ, but you can actually crank it up and without getting all that high-end sizzle. It actually just clears things up. Matter of fact, I may pull that out just a hair. Let's see what that does to the attack of the kick and the snare as well. Actually, that's not bad. That sounds better. It tamed that ride, didn't it? Okay, now let me look at my overall levels on this. All right, cool. I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to the bass. It's it's a little too early in the mix to determine that those drums are done, so I'm going to move on over to my bass, which I have colored purple here, and let me solo that. And I'll just use the same spot that I got the loop going on now, and let's take a listen at that. There was 2 bass tracks on this. One was an amped. Was a mic on an amp, and it was really bad, especially in one particular part of the song. So I went ahead and it was a DI. My bad. It was real buzzy. So let's see how this sounds. I'm going to bring in my... Whoops. Let's bring in funk bass. Let's see what's going on here. All right, because I know where that bad spot was in this song. Let's see how that sounds in that spot. That's not too bad. In the DI that was on there, the tone was gone. All you heard was the strings rattling. So the amp in this case actually made a huge difference. All right, so let me go back to where I had my loop, and let's see what I'm trying to do here is my try and get a good kick and bass response. Make those two work well together, which will build the solid bottom end of this song. So let me take that off and let's take a listen. Since this bass has got so much lows in it anyway, you can see where I cranked up this, what is it, like 3K, just so I can try and get a little punch out of it. I may actually go off the charts with it. Let's see here. You know what? I'm going to change that. I'm going to do a shelf. Get all this. That's better. I think that's nice. I'm going to leave that right there. Not too shabby. You know what? I didn't see what the compressor was doing. Nothing. I know he gets carried away a few times. I am going to add about a 3-to-1. Pull it here. I'm okay with the early attack. Probably take it to about a 180. Listen to that solo. Good. I'm just barely catching the tops of these transients on there. Okay, I'm good with that. I almost forgot my compressor. All right, let's move into the guitars. I don't know how much time we got going on here already, but I'm going to try and speed this up just a little bit. Let's take a listen to this guitar here. Did I leave? Yeah, I left the old stuff on there where I mixed it earlier. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, even without listening to it, I'm going to just bring in I just bring it in the basic acoustic. It's not an acoustic guitar, it's an electric. I just brought that in because it brought my compressor and EQ in. I'm going to set them both to default before I even listen to it. I don't want to get influenced by those settings. Okay, let's take a listen to that guitar. He's got a little bit of effects on there already. Sounds like it might just be reverb. Let's take a look at here. On my guitars, I'm going to roll everything off at 100, get rid of mud. Love the way it sounds, actually. What's the compressor doing? A lot of nothing. Okay, I'm going to add some more reverb to this. This is going to be my third party. This is a Voxengo. It's Oldskool. This is a free one. So let's drag that on over. I'm going to add these mids back. I am going to take some of the space away. Maybe add a little time, maybe a little more pre. And let's take a listen. Well, that sounds pretty good just like that. But we gotta get this other guitar in here. This one doing a little bit different stuff. It's got the guitar solo in there. But let's take a listen to that one. Now I'm gonna bring my compressor and my EQ over. And also the same reverb. Let's see what it's doing later in the song. A lot of picking. Pretty cool. I like that for that. Let's take it to the end here. I've already, I did a little bit of setup before I started because I knew this video would go long, but this was a guitar solo that I did some clip gaining to. He's doing like one of those call and return, or call and answer with a saxophone. So let me listen to some more of that. I'm real pleased at the way that sounds. All right, well, let's go take it back to where I had before. This just happens to be a really good spot. It's got the drums going. It's got a tom fill in there, a nice bass line going through there. So that's why I keep using that spot. Okay, so let's listen to it. And now I'm going to open up my stereo field by doing my panning. And I'm not going to pan real hard. I know everybody, is used to like panning, one guitar real hard to the left, one real hard to the right. I use a stereo imager at the end in my mastering, which spreads things out a little bit. So when I'm mixing, I'm not spreading them quite as far. Just a little, if anybody was wondering. Almost sounds like they're playing the wrong chords, huh? That's not too bad. All right, I'm going to move on over to the saxophone. This has two. It's a single sax. Let me pull that out. I forgot to grab that. It has two of them, but it's the same. It's the same sax as with the two different mics. And I did end up using both of them to get the sound I wanted out of them. But for now, I'm just going to work on this one. And let's take a listen. All right, so I'm going to go into instruments. I'm going to go to sax you up. I'm going to remove the reverb. Looks like that's hitting that a little hard. Yeah, before I change that EQ, I'm going to bring in my third-party Voxengo reverb again. I want it to be slightly different than the guitars. I like my saxophones to really sound like it's, you know, got that nice long big pre and really wet. So first thing I'm going to do is move this up. I'm going to take my pre up here. I'm going to pull this space out, which is going to give that more effect. And then I'm going to put in some, add a little more time to it. I'm good with the width because I'm going to be spreading out. I'm going to see what that EQ on this sounds like. That's kind of cool with this free reverb, is you do have reverb capabilities on here. Let's take a listen to that saxophone now. Yeah, that's too much. So what I'm going to do with this other one is I'm going to leave it like, I'm not going to put a darn thing on it. Simply because it's going to enhance just a little bit, since I do got a lot of saturation on this particular track. And I'm just going to blend this one in just a hair. I kicked it off to the right, even though I really didn't have to. I'm going to leave it there for now. Now let me start bringing this one in a hair. Not putting a compressor on it, and the EQ, well, not putting a compressor on it really kind of adds to the humanizing factor. And also not putting the EQ on there as you get a lot of the natural horn. But the fact of the matter is you could probably delete that and get away with it. I just found it useful. All right, let's take a listen. I'm going to also select both of those, and then I'm going to group them. And let's see what it sounds like. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, there's not a lot of vocals in this song. This is more of an instrumental. It's just, I don't even know why they put vocals in it, but it ain't much in there. So the saxophone plays a lot throughout the song. So as far as I'm concerned, that to me, it makes me going to want to treat the saxophone as if it's a lead vocal. It's the star of the song. So let's pull this back, and I think I'm going to just let it loop out and play more of it, and let's see what I'm going to do with the panning. Now, there's a reason why I've chosen, let me put this one back in the center. There's a reason why I've chosen the left, because this guitar here, which is I got pan right, it's got the guitar solo in it, and that's when you're going to have that call and return. So I want that to bounce back left and right. So as a matter of fact, I think I'll just go ahead and go down to that part. And let's see, where is the guitar solo? Oh. I like that. But now, before I go into the vocal tracks, I'm going to go over here and make some adjustments to my drum. My drums, I'm not, as you hear as the song builds near the end, the snare kind of starts to disappear. Plus, I can't quite hear the reverb in it that I had. And it sounds like it's just smacking and sitting there doing nothing. So let's take a listen. Quite frankly, I think I'm compressing it too hard. Starting to kind of sound smashed. Much better. Doesn't sound too bad. Again, now let's go ahead and take a listen from the beginning here. Make sure the guitars sound okay. Okay, I just wanted to hear that clean part. Make sure you can hear the bleed, the vocals. That's one of the few places there is vocals. Excuse me. Let me get back to this place over here where we had looped, because I just want to double check that ride cymbal. Make sure now that I got the guitars and bass and horns in and stuff like that, make sure it's not too in your face. Nope, it's amazing, you know. I was really worried about that ride cymbal, just, you know, be ear piercing and all in your face. But now it's mixed in. It doesn't sound too bad. Granted, I'm mixing in headphones, by the way. I highly recommend that you guys don't get used to doing that. I am used to doing it for doing tutorials. Yeah, always use your studio monitors unless you just don't have a choice. You know, it's like the middle of the night and you want to get a mix done, or at least get it started without waking everybody in the house up. Home studio, you gotta love it. But really, you should always use your studio monitors. All right, sorry. So let's get going and working on those vocals. Solo out the vocal here, and I'm just going to loop from the beginning to here. As you can see, here's my vocal track. And let's see what this guy has to say.
I'm hoping the sea can save me. Watch as the waves come crashing down.
All right, well, here we go. Vocals. I'm just going to use male vocal. Gives me my compression EQ. I'm going to take this loop and put it here. Like I said, it's not much vocals in this. And I'm going to, first thing I'm going to do is put this EQ to default. Compressor. Let's see what we got. I'm going to go to default on the compressor too. I'm going to put 4:1 ratio on this guy's vocals. I'm also going to go up to about 130 on the release. I like the 6th knee. All right, let's crush this guy's vocals. In the sea, bring the sand, it buries me. Smoke for me, and I'm tired of drifting in an endless sea. The ocean breeze. By the way, I am not going to be doing any pitch correction today. Trade sand for mind matter. Find serenity. We'll hold in the sea. Bring the sand. Draws me to a
sea, bring the sand, it buries me. Smoke more, and I'm tired of drifting in an endless sea. The ocean breeze.
Okay, I think for now I'm just going to leave that there. There is a little bit of a backup going on here. Let me see what that one is.
Come crashing down, just as the
I'm going to use the same compression.
The weight of the world can't slow me down. I'm hoping the sea can save me. I watch as the waves come crashing down, and just as the current takes me, the weight of the world.
Okay, I don't think I'm going to put any reverb on there. I mean, if I do, I'm going to use the same reverb. I'm going to pull it way back. Because all that's going to do is make things just way wet, a lot wetter than I want. So let's take a listen to these two together. Set a loop here.
He can save me. And watch as the waves come crashing down, and just as the current takes me, the weight of the world can't slow me down. I'm hoping the sea can save me. And watch as the waves come crashing down, and just as the current takes me, the weight of the world can't slow me down. You can save me. And watch as the waves come crashing down, and just as the current takes me, the weight of the world can't slow me down. I'm hoping the sea can save me. And watch as the waves come crashing down, and just as the current takes me, the weight of the world can't slow me down. You can save me. And watch as the waves come crashing down, and just as the current takes me, the weight of the world can't slow me down. I'm hoping the sea can save me. And watch as the waves come crashing down, and just as the current takes me, the weight of the world can't slow me down.
Okay, I think I'm good there. These last two backup vocals, I ain't gonna lie to you, they're pitiful, to say the least. What I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna send, I'm gonna select them both. I'm gonna send them to a bus, add a bus for selected, and I'm gonna treat them together. Yeah, they're pretty bad. I just got to figure out where they are. Oh. Hey, you know what? I shouldn't say anything because I'm about 5-6 years ago I lost my ability to sing too. But anyway, yeah. First thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to pan a little one a little bit to the, let's go about 30 to the left and about 30 to the right. And then I'm going to set the levels, and then I'm just going to, you know, crush them and put some FX on it. Just try and get something out of them. Okay. Preset, vocals, rock, pop, doesn't matter. I just want the compressor and EQ. And I'm just going to crush them. All right. I am going to go to, I'm going to put a chorus on the stereo here. I'm going to look for some backing vocals. Just to try and get a little more out of it. And I'm going to put I'm going to use the same reverb that I had on the vocals. And then I'm going to flood it. All right, let's see what we do.
Watch as the waves come crashing down, and just as the current takes me, the weight of the world can't slow me down. I'm hoping the sea can save me. Watch as the waves come crashing down, and just as the current takes me,
listen to this one more time alone. You know what? Maybe I'll bring them in a little closer to center.
as the current takes me, the weight of the world can't slow me down. I'm hoping the sea can save me. Watch as the waves come crashing down, and just as the current takes me, the weight of the world can't slow me down. I'm hoping the sea can save me. Watch as the waves come crashing.
Okay, I'm going to leave them just like that. I take this thing back to the beginning. I know this video is getting long here, but I want to go through and listen to everything real quick before I start my mastering.
I'm hoping and the sea can save me. Watch as the waves come crashing down, and just as the current takes me, the weight of the world, it slows me down. Coffee and a smoke for me, and I try to live my life differently, and I see this day is turning out to.
By the way, you listen real careful in this vocal. Let me take these apart here, dissolve this group. Listen to this vocal, lead vocal. It's got static in it.
This day is turning.
Hear it shudder? Just a little bit more.
This day is turning out.
So that's not something I did. I'll turn off all the treatment and you can hear.
This day is turning out.
So I'm going to leave it alone and let's continue listening to it.
Today, another pointless endeavor in the desert, sand and shaking knees, will hold in the sea, bring the sand, it buries me. Whiskey and a smoke for, and I'm tired, and in an endless sea, the ocean breeze, it draws me to a different, trade sand for mind matter. Will hold in the sea, bring the sand, it buries me.
Okay, to speed this up a little bit. I'm not going to play the whole 8 minutes. I think we got a good idea of how this mix is. To me, it's sounding pretty good, but I'm listening to it in cans. These are the Sennheiser HD 280 Pros, by the way. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and first thing I'm going to do is put a compressor, and I'm going to use a stock compressor. And then I'm going to go to a setting here on miscellaneous. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to call it a master bus. Which 2-to-1 ratio. Really slow attack and a super long release. You can see it floating around with my vocals here, because my vocals are going through the main bus on this. If you have your mix right, this song's got a ton of dynamics, but if you have your mix right, really should only be kissing it and getting about maybe at the most like a -2 dB, 250 on reduction. So let's go ahead and play. I'm going to play that part that I used. Where my mouse? I changed mice. I changed my mouse and it's got a really noisy wheel. So I'm going to go ahead and use this spot here like we did before. I'm going to loop that, and let's take a look at what this compressor is doing.
Whiskey and a smoke for, and I'm tired.
That's good, right where I wanted it. Now let's throw on an EQ and take a look at everything that's going on here. All right, let's play here.
The ocean. Whiskey and a smoke for, and I'm tired of drifting in an endless sea. The ocean breeze, it draws me to a melody. Trade sin for mind matter. For mind matter, find serenity.
Okay, so all I did was just pretty much roll off the ends. As a matter of fact, that doesn't have to be that much. I want to keep as much of that low end as I can there. I mean, I brought down the mids here, not even a dB, just to slightly hurt a little bit of a boxiness I want to get rid of. But, you know, if you mix right, you don't need to do a whole lot of EQ changing on your main or master bus. I mean, if you find yourself, you know, tweaking this stuff and cranking up and, you know, trying to do this, and you can hear my vocal, you got to do stuff like that. You got your mix wrong. You're going to have to go back in and find where the problems are. So I'm okay with that EQ. Now, I told you I was going to use a stereo imager. Studio One has one called a Binaural Pen, but I'm going to use this Ozone Imager. I love this thing. I mean, it's just awesome. I'm going to bring that in, and you can see what's going on. So let's go ahead and play this. I mean, you can actually tell by the scope that I didn't pan things out that much, but why I like to do it on the master instead of through the song as much is because I want those effects to spread out as well. All right, so let's take a listen, and I'm going to start dialing in this. I'm going to start pushing up and giving more stereo width.
Whiskey and a small more, and I'm tired of drifting in an endless sea. The ocean breeze, it draws me to a melody. Trade sand for mind matter. Find serenity, will hold in the sea. Bring the sand, it buries me.
All right, that's with and without. That's really cool. And this plugin is free. I recommend everybody going out and picking this up. Okay, so now I'm going to add some tape. This is a third party. This is the Slate Virtual tape machine. This is more than likely going to add a whole lot of bottom end. I might have to go in and make some small changes. But let's see what it sounds like. That kick is already thumping pretty hard right now. Kind of left it alone because I knew when I brought the tape in, it's going to cause a little bit of more low end. That's what it does. Tape gives a little warmth, gives you a little sparkle, gives you a little low end, gives you a glue because it has a natural compression. Let me drag it on in here. I'm going to hit save here. Just so I don't want you guys to think that I'm not hitting save. I'm actually doing it down below. Just Control S. But just so you didn't think I was not saving. All right, let me turn this tape, bypass the tape, and let's go ahead and play this. And then add the tape.
Hoping the sea can save me. Watch as the waves come crashing down, and just as the current takes me, the weight of the world, it slows me down. Coffee and a smoke for and I smoke more. And I'm tired of drifting in an endless sea. The ocean breeze, it draws me to a pilgrimage. Trade sand for mind matter. Find serenity. Will hold in the sea. Bring the sand, it buries me.
Just want to talk about the suggestive. This song can be very suggestive on how much reverb you want or how much drums you want. I'm a drummer, and so I like the drums kind of be up front. That snare might be a little hot. The fact of the matter is that once I go into my post and I throw a limiter on there, I may let the limiter smash it down just a hair, but for now I'm just going to leave it hot. Let me go ahead and bring that limiter in now. I use the Fab filter. If I can find it, there it is. And I use the Pro L, of course, 64. And it's got some really cool settings on here. I'm just gonna let's see. It's not really a pop song. I'm gonna call this more of an acoustic thing, and I just want a little bit of flavor added, not too much. Let's bring in my level meter at the very end of the chain. And for those that you don't know, the stock level meter is the only plug-in that you can actually change the size on, which is kind of cool because it makes it easier for me to see. Because what I'm driving at here is trying to get my RMS, excuse me, be hovering right around -12, -10 dB. And let's see how much the limiter is actually hitting. Let's go to like the end of the song where it's climaxing, and when it's going to be hitting the limiter. So we get them both here at the same time, and let's take a listen.
It takes me, the weight of the world can't slow me down.
And turn it up. All right, this is good. You know, with the guitar and the saxophone going, I'm seeing my RMS is still wandering between -12 and -9, which is good because you got all this dynamic range up here. If you look here at my limiter, I turned it down just a hair, about half a dB. But if you look, I'm only getting about 2 dB, 2.5, 2.6 dB of reduction, which is really where you want. And so, you know, I got the song mixed well. The snare is actually not hitting it as hard as I thought. But with the vocals and the guitar solo and saxophone, I'm floating around here in -12, -9, which is good. I'm going to go ahead and close. Actually, I want my limiter still up. Because I want to, you'll see during the slow parts, quiet parts.
Hoping the sea can save me. Watch
I mean, it's not even touching it.
Crashing down. And just as the current takes me, the weight of the world, it slows me down. Coffee and a smoke for me, and I try to live my life differently, and I see this day is turning out to be another pointless endeavor in the desert. Sand and shaking knees will hold in the sea. Bring the sand, it buries me. Whiskey and a smoke for, and I'm tired of drifting in an endless sea. The ocean breeze, it draws me to a different trade sand for mind matter. Will hold in the sea. Bring the sand, it buries me.
Okay, I think what I'm going to do here is just play out the end of the song, the guitar solo, and how the song ends, and then I'll go ahead and wrap this video up. Let's go ahead and listen to how this song ends. And there you have it. I'm going to call this one done. And I want to appreciate you all sticking around for this. I'm not sure how long it went. I think it was under 2 hours. Kind of hoping that's the case. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. I'm going to put the YouTube video of this song, which is where you can download the stems so you can grab them. I guess I can also throw the links up to the free plugins that I used. And then I guess from that's that. I really appreciate everybody who stuck around to watch this. Again, I hope you find it helpful. I'll be throwing out more videos now. I've been real busy in the studio, so lots of clients. So I've kind of neglected to get more new content out there, but I'm working on getting that fixed. Please, I do this for free, but do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. That'll help me out. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 YouTube subscribers, and maybe YouTube will kick me back a little money on some advertisement. Anyway, y'all didn't need to hear all that. I'm glad you stuck around. I'm going to call it quits right now. You take good care. Again, I'm Keith Baker from Dusty Attic Studio, and have a great day.